It's hot, the flowers are dying, and I'm exhausted. And these are the top 10 films of 2016. When I say top, I mean my personal favourite films. Cheers. There were loads of great films that came out that year, so there's going to be loads of films I missed off, so please do include your favourite films down below. In at number 10, Kubo and the Two Strings. A stunning looking stop motion animation from Laika. There's just something beautiful in the tangibility of stop motion, and this is one of the most stunning examples. This fantasy film set in Japan follows Kubo, a one-eyed kid with a magical instrument who, along with a talking monkey and beetle samurai, battles his evil aunts and grandfather. It's full of imagination and wonderfully dark and humorous touches. If I have one criticism, is that the casting of the voice actors seems all off. Firstly, it's set in Japan, and so having mostly white Americans voice the characters seems strange. The Japanese dub sounds way cooler. Secondly, I do miss when cartoons were voiced by professional voiceover artists and not just famous actors. Hearing Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey does take me out of it slightly. Nevertheless, this is a wonderful family film that was a great ride in the cinema. In at number 9, The Nice Guys. Shane Black is the master of the buddy action movie. Here, the mismatched buddies trying to locate a missing woman are Ryan Gosling as a useless drunk private eye and Russell Crowe as a no-nonsense violent enforcer. They are both hilarious in the picture and have great chemistry.
Seen this girl?
What's in it for me?
Oh, we can do this the easy way.
Ow!
We're currently doing it the easy way.
Whatever happened to offering me $20?
It's the recession.
The setting is 1970s Los Angeles, and Black has tremendous fun with the period. The script is witty, the music is great, and it's filled with quirky details. It's, for my money, the best film that Black has directed himself.
Before we go solving the crime of the century, let's deal with the rotting corpse.
I got a plan. Run.
In at number 8, Your Name. Probably my favourite body swap movie. This anime fantasy romance tells the story of two students, a girl from a small village and a boy from Tokyo, who a few times a week swap bodies. The great addition here is that their memory of these swaps is vague, and they only really know what's happened once they start sharing notes at the ends of the days, initially on their skin and later on their phones. Their lives are turned upside down. Embarrassing moments, but their lives are also enriched by the other person being more confident in certain areas of life. Even though they don't really know who the other person is, they nevertheless start to fall for each other, and that's before the twists begin. And what great twists! This beautiful anime takes you on a real emotional journey. In at number 7, 13th. My favourite documentary of the year. Ava DuVernay's film takes its title from the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery but allowed involuntary servitude as a punishment for those imprisoned. The film takes us from the implementation of the amendment all the way to now, showing that slavery, in one way or another in America, hasn't ended. It clearly lays out the injustice that has been a constant over the decades, and how it has evolved to keep the black population as a seemingly second and problematic race. It fills you with emotion without being manipulative. It's meticulous in setting out its position, and is put together so well it's impossible to argue with its conclusions. An exceptionally well-made documentary. In at number 6, Raw. Julia Ducournau's debut as a director certainly made her a filmmaker to look out for. This visceral cannibal horror film is revolting, erotic, and strangely moving. It's a coming-of-age tale about a girl heading to college for the first time. At first she's vulnerable, a vegetarian and a virgin, but after going to veterinary college, all of that is about to violently change. The hazing at this school for animal care is extreme to say the least, but her older sister, who survived it the year before, insists she'll be fine. But after she eats a little bit of meat, her taste for flesh gets out of control and it gets nastier and nastier. I don't think enough cannibal or indeed zombie films get across how horrible bites are. But the wounds in this film make my skin crawl. It's all very well done. It's rare to have a film as good as Raw. number 5, Hell or High Water. I love a good western, and this neo-western is probably one of the best of the decade. Me and Chris did a really long review of it back in 2016, so I'll leave that up here and down below.
Love you, Toby.
Mean it.
Love you too.
In at number 4, The Wailing. You run the full gamut of emotions while watching this very long South Korean horror film. Of course it's horrific throughout, but the first half is also a remarkable hoot. This is largely down to one of the best leading characters in recent years. Kwak Do-won plays Jong-ju, a useless, lazy policeman in a small village in the countryside. He's riveting. It's a character straight out of the best of the Coen brothers movies. A totally human and relatable man who doesn't want to take charge or put much of an effort in. A loafing, clumsy family man. When a series of truly horrid crimes begin to plague the small town, he is dragged into the horror until in the second half he is forced to take action. And that's when the film takes nasty turn after nasty turn, and we're with Jong-ju all the way. The film manages to take many horror tropes and do something new with them, so that at no point you're ever quite sure of what is happening. It certainly makes you think and ask questions. It lingers in your mind, and that's what the best horror films do. As the main character starts to ask himself, why me? We too are with him in the confusion of why this horror has befallen him. It's a staggeringly well-made film. In at number 3, Arrival. Some films are made by their twist, and this is such a film. Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi is quite low-key. Alien spaceships arrive on Earth, and no one knows what they want. Amy Adams' linguist is sent in to try and decipher what they are trying to communicate with us. Adams is as wonderful as usual, and it's brilliant to have a film about aliens arriving which is all about communication, not just explosions and anal probes. Villeneuve has proven himself as a master of science fiction with this, Blade Runner 2049 and Dune. But as I said, it's the twist that makes this good film great. Usually a twist is there to shock, but here it moves and upsets. The dawning realization of what's going on is quite overwhelming and delicately handled. It certainly made me cry.
Now that's a proper introduction.
In at number 2, Manchester by the Sea. Another bloody film that made me cry. I don't want to say too much about the plot, but it's basically about an emotionally damaged man who is tasked with looking after his nephew when his brother dies. It's an overwhelmingly emotional film, but it's also one that's true to life, so despair isn't the only available emotion. It's got funny scenes, touching scenes, and very human scenes. Casey Affleck stars, and yes, that's a problem, as he's clearly a shit, but in this particular film, his brand of whispering acting works a treat. Lucas Hedges is outstanding as his nephew, and Michelle Williams as his ex-wife is great, especially in one of the most powerful scenes in the picture. It was written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan, and it's his best film since You Can Count on Me. At his best, he is one of the best writer-directors when it comes to showing family struggles and relationships. Manchester by the Sea is certainly a film that stays with you. And in at number 1, The Handmaiden. Park Chan-wook is one of the great filmmakers of the 21st century. His films are stylish, sexy, and unique. And here he takes a Victorian-set British novel and transports the erotic action to 1930s Korea. The plot is as twisting and turning as they come. It's told in a non-linear fashion, split into 3 parts, with each one revealing more of the story until all the truth is laid out. At the beginning it seems to be about a Japanese conman who's trying to marry an heiress, then section her and send her away to an asylum and steal her inheritance. To aid him, he gets the help of a young Korean woman. The plot is a lot more complicated than that, but so much of the film is discovering what is really happening. I'll butcher these names, but Kim Min-hee, Kim Tae-ri, Ha Jung-woo and Cho Jin-woong are all tremendous. It's an astonishingly erotic movie. It's spectacularly sexy, remarkably nasty, and utterly entrancing. The film is decadent. The sets, the costumes, and above all else, Chung Chung-hoon's cinematography. It's utterly bewitching. Park Chan-wook always makes arresting films. He's a uniquely stylish director, and when he's at his best, he makes masterpieces such as this. Right, so counting down the top 10. In at number 10, Kubo and the Two Strings. In at number 9, The Nice Guys. In at number 8, Your Name. In at number 7, 13th. In at number 6, Raw. In at number 5, Hell or High Water. In at number 4, The Wailing. In at number 3, Arrival. In at number 2, Manchester by the Sea. And in at number 1, The Handmaiden. Well, those are my top 10 films of 2016. What are your top 10 films, or 20, or whatever, favourite films of that year?